Before we get into this, I apologize for my hair. I have absolutely no idea what's going on. I just, I never wake up and like comb my hair or anything. I just kind of, do one of these and then I go on with my day. But today it's like really out there. Anyways, here we are. It's time for the next monthly Q&A. And as always, if you want to be featured in the next one, either A, just kind of keep your eyes posted up over on the community tab. Always post up over there as soon as I'm about to do one. And also joining the Discord. I'll let you guys know over there literally immediately as soon as anything is happening. First things first, we'll go ahead and kick things off with the Discord questions. The first one coming from Coral Zone, who asks, what are your future goals for YouTube? My future goals are simply to stay consistent, keep making content, keep growing the channel. I mean, that's really all there is to it, This is one of those situations where what you see really is what you get. You really can judge a book by its cover. You click on my channel, you see some basic half-white, half-Asian dude playing video games, occasionally yelling at his TV, and, well, yeah, that's literally all that you get, and that's all you're ever really gonna get, and my goals are really just to stay consistent with that. The next question comes from Wilhelm, who asks, how long did it take you to grow your channel to where it is today? So that is a multi-parted answer I could give you, but I'll just give you the most straightforward answer, and that would be roughly 4 years. So I started uploading consistently on this channel back in the middle of 2020, around July. I believe it was like July 15th, July 20th or so of 2020, I'd have to go back and look, but like from that point, they're like, if you sort the videos on this channel by the oldest, you will see that like once I started uploading, there was no stopping me. So literally, as soon as I uploaded my first video that is public on this channel, that being a Modern Warfare live gameplay or whatever, yeah, I literally just started uploading daily, and I haven't missed a single day since then. So it's been 4 years of consistent uploads, and considering the fact that I've never missed a single day, that is what, 365 times 4, 730 times, okay, so like almost 1,500 uploads, approximately like 1,460 as of July anyway. But it does go a bit further back than that, because I've also been just around on YouTube for a very long time, dating back as far as 2009 when I was like messing around and making goofy videos with my cousins. I've also had multiple YouTube channels over the years, some of which are still public somehow, and I hope are never found, because I don't know how to, like, I don't know if I actually know the login info to get in and delete some of those channels, so they're just kind of out there somewhere. And then there's some channels that have just been outright deleted and could only really be found with a Wayback Machine, so good luck finding those. TLDR, 15 years of YouTube in total, which is insane to say, but 4 years specifically on this channel. The next question comes from Yudo's Guntier. Oh no, Yudo's Guntier's asking me a question, dog. Yo, I don't want no beef with you. We had our fight in Dark Souls. I'm gonna be careful how I answer this question. I don't need no Yudo's coming after me in real life, you know what I mean? Anyway, jokes aside, they ask, when will you have a game event with fans? Okay, so when it comes to my content, you guys have probably noticed that I don't do a lot of collaborations, I don't do a lot of stuff with fans outside of like these Q&As and occasional stuff and like live streams and stuff like that, because, I don't really stream that often, but anytime that I have streamed before, I always try to get the audience engaged somehow or like actually active in the stream, so like, whether that be actually like playing with people or getting them involved in some way. So if there ever is like an event or anything like that where I'm, like playing with the community or anything like that, it would most likely happen in a live stream. When it comes to my videos, I like to keep things pretty chill, just me, alone, doing my thing. But at the most, I'd be open to the idea of doing a live stream in the future and just doing something cool, probably like to celebrate like 5 or 10,000 subscribers or something like that if we end up getting there one day, and just like, doing a cool celebration like that. I'd probably like chop it up and turn it into a video as well, just so then people that don't feel like sitting through a multi-hour live stream can kind of have it there in like a digestible 10 to 15, 20-minute video. And even then, it would probably just be something as simple as like, hey, I'll invite you guys to a game, and we'll just kind of like cycle in the community, just say there's like, a couple dozen people watching, we'll try to get in as many of those viewers as possible. All around, I don't like doing stuff that's too crazy though. I just like to have a real chill environment, you know what I mean? The next question comes from Dryslia, I'm not really sure how to say it. Dryslia. They're on my Discord all the time. They're always sending stuff in the art channel. They are an amazing artist. But anyway, they ask, will you play Elden Ring DLC after it released? Also, do you have any talent/hobbies? So first, the Elden Ring DLC. I want to play it, but it's gonna be $40, so if it was a full-fledged game, sure, but I'm not much of a DLC guy as is, right? Like, I know that may sound silly to some people, but you gotta remember, I'm a bit older. I grew up during, like, the PS2 generation. The first console I ever played was the SNES. I'm of the mindset of, like, hey, I'm gonna dive into this game, I'm gonna binge it to the credits, and that's gonna be that. And then usually by the time DLC is released, I'm already off binging so many other single-player games or, playing something else entirely. So, again, I don't know. This is a situation where it's like, if it comes out, if it seems like it's really worth the $40, or if I feel like I really want to spend it, because like Elden Ring in itself, it's a good game and all, but it's definitely my least replayed Souls game, the one that I would have the least urgency or desire to really go back to. Not that it's a bad game, I truly do believe it deserved Game of the Year in 2022. It's an absolute masterpiece of a game. It's just compared to the other Souls games, it's definitely the DLC that I've been, you know, like, because obviously I didn't get to the Souls games until they were all already out, because I didn't start playing the Souls games until after even like Elden Ring was out, but like, even in retrospect, going in and actually tackling the DLC for the other Souls games seemed like an enticing idea, whereas Elden Ring, I'm just like, we'll see how it goes. I might wait till it goes on sale or something like that, though, and even then, we'll kind of see how it goes. If it's one of those things where it's like a Witcher 3 situation where the expansions are that good, where it's like, all right, I really got to dive back in for that, then sure, I'll go do it. Because otherwise, the only DLC that I've played in recent times is Resident Evil DLC, just because that's one of my favorite franchises, literally ever. You already know I was there for separate ways for Resident Evil 4 Remake on day one. And then their second question, also, do you have any talents/hobbies? I don't know about talents, but I got a lot of hobbies. You know, I love playing video games. I love collecting video games. I used to play the guitar, still kind of doodle with it here and there. You know, it's one of those things where it's fun to do. I'm like not really the best, not really that good at it, but it's just one of those things I just like doing it because you know, I like making music. That's another thing. I love making music. I can't play too many physical instruments, but digitally, just because I know like music theory and stuff, I can play a lot of things. I can play the trombone, I can play the violin, I can play the guitar, I can play the piano, I can play the drums. A lot of people don't know this, but I actually used to make a lot of music. All of it has since been deleted off the internet, thank goodness. But when it comes to starting a song from scratch up through the mixing and producing and finalizing and mastering, like I can do the whole process of making a song, laying vocals, mixing, like everything. I'm also really into like film and like, you know, just like studying film as an art form and just, you know, little nitty-gritty details there, stuff like that. You know, I'm really into that stuff. There's honestly, you know, there's a lot of stuff that I'm actually into, like drawing and art and stuff like that. Comic books, trading cards, anime, manga. Believe it or not, I'm also kind of into some sciencey stuff. Not too technical, but like, you know, just like cool fun facts, like Vsauce type videos, you know what I mean? Like I'm kind of into like learning cool stuff like that, but I don't know if you can necessarily call that a hobby, just I guess a fun quirky thing I'm into. The next question comes from Lilithix, who asks, how do you feel now that you're smoke free? I feel amazing. I am now officially a little over 2 months of being free from cigarettes, and yeah, that was definitely like one of the best decisions I ever made for myself. I was a smoker for almost 10 years, and that was a 10 years where I was like, oh, you know, I feel fine. These things are helping me, right? Like, you know, but as time went on, I just realized more and more like, wow, I actually hate these things. I hate the act of what I'm doing. It got to that point where like every time I lit up, I was like, dude, when am I gonna quit those things? And then one day I was like, what am I waiting for? So I just went cold turkey, and yeah, it sucked. It sucked really bad for a while, and the withdrawals hung on for a lot longer than I thought that they would. Not to mention the fact that a little over 2 months out, I can definitely still feel the effects of it. I can feel my body trying to like cleanse itself per se, and I can tell that I'm nowhere near the end of this cleansing process because I mean, yeah, it's still affecting me to this day, but I feel a lot better than I did while I was doing it. So yeah, I'm very glad that I quit, and I feel a lot better in general. The next question comes from What the Flip Man, who says late, but if tomorrow was actually you weren't late, you typed that in the Discord like a couple of days before I was recording this, so you're all good. Anyway, but if tomorrow was your last day, how would you spend it? I would spend it playing all sorts of nostalgic games. I'd be running a game of Black Ops 2 Zombies, I'd be speedrunning Resident Evil 4, Donkey Kong Country, playing some Minecraft, going on a 5-star cop chase in GTA 5, as well as breaking into the military base. I'd have to play on all the nostalgic systems, the PS3, the 360, the PS2, the SNES, the GameCube, the N64, the PS1, the original Xbox. Okay, yeah, you know what, the more and more I list things, the more I realize I just have to play at least one game on every single console that has ever existed. I'd also like to squeeze in at least one more episode of Dragon Ball. It doesn't matter if it's from Dragon Ball or Z or Super, preferably at least one episode from each of those. You know what, throw in an episode of GT, why not? I love Dragon Ball in general, and I honestly do believe that GT is a really underrated series. Also include an episode of Naruto. I'd also like to watch Star Wars Revenge of the Sith just one more time before I die, because man, it's hard for me to pick a favorite Star Wars movie, but that is the one that I end up going back to the most, and it's just such an epic movie. I'd also like to eat a lot of my favorite foods, so for breakfast, I'd do a bowl of cereal. For lunch, I'd do just like a basic like ham or turkey and cheese sandwich with a side of like pretzels or chips, and then some Oreo cookies for dessert and a Coke on the side. And then for dinner, I'd like to do like, you know, some chicken nuggets, either white or yellow rice, probably just white rice, as well as one of those like little mini pies. If you guys have ever seen those for dessert, like the little Antenamins or Little Debbie mini pies, one of those for dessert. And I'd I'd also like one of those little like sparkling ice drinks to go on the side. If you guys have ever had those before, the ones that are like flavored carbonated water. I drink one of those every day because I love those things. And yeah, that's kind of what my final day would look like. Just binging a lot of nostalgic stuff, eating my favorite food for like my 3 meals of the day, just because I don't eat a lot of food in general. I only really eat for the 3 meals. I'm not a snacker, and even when I do eat meals, they're pretty petite. Next question comes from Shira, who says, what have you been up to with life stuff recently? Honestly, it's been the same as it's been for the last 2-3 years now. I wake up, I work, I play video games, I go to sleep, and then I repeat the cycle. I kid you not. It's, I literally don't do anything else. I can't tell you the last time I actually left my house. Like, I leave my house to go to the grocery store, but I don't leave for anything else besides that. If I ever need anything else, I just kind of order it. Even then, I sometimes order groceries as well, and, yeah, that's literally it. Her question came in 2 parts. She's also asked, like, anything you've been working on toward but you're super excited about recently? And I was for a little while there when we had that partnership with Just Crow Things, which that was I loved getting to make that video because they'd emailed me, sent me a code so I could, like, you know, make a video on the game early before it came out, and that was like a super huge thing for me. That was a lot of fun to do. But outside of that, nah, yeah, we're kind of just back to the normal stuff now. Just me sitting, working, gaming, going to sleep when it's bedtime, waking up the next morning, and yeah, I mean, that's about it. You know, I'm a pretty simple guy. I live a simple life, and I couldn't be happier. You know, I wouldn't want to live any other way. I may only be in my 20s, but I'm settled down like I'm in my 50s or my 60s or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I'm at that point in my life. Like, I'm still working hard. You know, I wouldn't deem myself as, you know, like being at that retired mindset where I'm like, I'm just gonna couch potato every day till the day I flop over. No, it's like, I'm at the 50/60s mindset where it's like, I'm still working hard, but I'm settled down. I'm kind of living a chill life, and I'm glad that I'm at this point so early in my life because I'm already at that point, even though I'm only in my 20s, like, hey, life is too short to be negative. Life is too short to focus on the negative things. You know, I'd rather live the rest of my life being positive, focusing on the happy things, just, you know, focusing on the light and otherwise seemingly dark world, which I don't believe that the world really is all dark and doom and gloom like a lot of people say, but for the sake of this analogy, I'll just say finding the light in the dark world. But I really don't think the world is a dark place. I think the world is a beautiful place. I just think that there's some evil, you know what, I was gonna use another word, but I will say there's some people out there that are just downright evil. There's just some downright evils that corrupt an otherwise beautiful and amazing world. But that doesn't bother me, because again, I just focus on the light and positivity, and that's all that matters to me. I don't spend time being all depressed or worried about stuff anymore. You know, I have a lot of anxiety issues, and I do still have depression in general, so sometimes I can find myself getting in those slumps, and my mood's flying out of control, and you know, there's not too much I can do about it. But even in those instances, I always give it 110% to keep myself in a positive space and fight to get out of my dark spaces as soon as I find myself slipping into those places. So yeah, I don't know. I choose to be happy. Now we're moving on to the YouTube questions. The first one coming from my mom, who asks, if you could visit anywhere in the world for a vacation, where would it be? It would either be Japan or South Korea. Now, South Korea, because obviously I'm half South Korean, so I just feel like it would be really cool to go see my heritage and just see, like, where half of me is from, because I've never left the States. But then also Japan, just because, I mean, I love Japan. I love the culture there. Obviously, I've never been there, but I love a lot of the things that come out of Japan, from everything that I've heard about Japan and seen from Japan. The place looks awesome, and obviously, a lot of my favorite, like, mangas and anime and video games come from there, so I would love to just go see, like, what the process is for making some of that stuff, or maybe even possibly have the chance of meeting some of the creatives over there, because that would just be such a huge honor to me. And again, exploring that culture, learning the history, and just, like, really embracing that, because, like, sure, you know, there's no place in the world that is necessarily perfect, right? Like, you know, you can try to paint a certain image of a place in your mind and be like, oh, this sounds like the perfect place to live, but it's one of those things where it's like, no matter how perfect a place seems, every place has its issues, and I feel like that's one of the ththings that a lot of people don't realize. You know, a lot of people talk about moving to Japan or other places in the world, like, oh, it's gonna be this perfect place, whether it come down to prices or the people or whatever, but look, it's one of those things where a place sounds perfect just because that's how the brain works until you get there and you realize, like, everywhere, everything in every situation has a dark and a light side to it. It has a positive and a negative to it. And I just say that because, again, a lot of people do seem to have a bit of an overinflated opinion or perspective of, like, Japan in general, and it just seems to be, like, a really popular thing to say, oh, I want to go to Japan. But no, me, seriously, like, I actually want to go to Japan just because, you know, I'll just put it plainly, for nerdy reasons. For example, I used to love visiting Florida on vacations, but now that I live here, I never want to step foot in this state again yet. I'm just stuck here. The next question comes from my stepdad, who asks, what's your favorite fighting game? Oh, man. If I had to choose an absolute favorite fighting game right now, I would say Injustice, only because I love Mortal Kombat, and that is essentially just Mortal Kombat with DC superheroes, and it's just like, that is like a perfect mix right there. Now, if they would make a game like that, but with Marvel superheroes, that would be tough, because I love Marvel just as much as I love DC. Like, it really goes neck and neck for me. For the heroes that I love in Marvel, there's also one that I love in DC, you know what I mean? So, I don't know, I feel like Injustice fits really well with that dark tone and everything like that, just because, you know, DC always tends to be a bit darker, but still, yeah, I would probably say Injustice, but there's a lot of fighting games that I like, right? Like Mortal Kombat, Soul Calibur, Street Fighter, Tekken, Dead or Alive. I mean, you know what? I'm not gonna expand on that. I'm not. Look, man, Dead or Alive, it's a fun game to look at, okay? The next question comes from What the Flip, man. Wait, I think they left a question on the Discord as well as the YouTube comment section. But anyway, it says, if you had to live in any dystopian world, what would it be? Cyberpunk 2077. Just, like, I don't even need to think twice about it. Cyberpunk 2077 for sure. And I would try to be best friends with Judy because I have a crush on Judy. I know she don't swing that way, but she's pretty cool. I just like to hang out with her. Plus, the world of Cyberpunk just seems pretty rad in general, so I'd love to live there. But then their second question is, also, if you had to be any fictional villain, who would you be? Okay, see, at first I was thinking, like, maybe I could be an anti-hero, right? Like Deadpool or something like that, but that's kind of cheating. Man, if I had to pick a villain, I wouldn't want to be one that's all, like, murderous or anything. I was also gonna say maybe Mysterio, because, like, he's more of, like, a gag villain, I guess you could say, in some instances, but it depends on the comic or the game that we're talking about, right? Because in some comics, he's just kind of a gag villain, but in other ones, he's, like, an actual genuine threat, and he ends up, like, actually hurting people. I'm having to think long and hard about this, so when I say this answer, don't take it as, like, my final answer, but if I had to think of one off the top of my head right now, I'd probably say Albert Wesker from Resident Evil, just because, like, he's pretty cool. Sure, he does some messed up stuff, and sure, it goes against everything I was just saying about not wanting to hurt people, but, like, he's got cool hair, he's got some pretty sick powers, he's got some sick shades. I've just always thought that Wesker is a really cool villain, so if I had to pick one off the top of my head at the moment, that's probably who I'd choose. The final question comes from Cheese20044, who says, what do you think happens after death? I mean, they do say I kid, and then they go and ask something else, but I actually wrote something down. I was gonna try to remember it to do it off the top of my head, but I was, like, thinking of it in the moment of, like, what my genuine answer would be if somebody were to ask me that, and I was like, you know what, I want to write this down just because I don't want to, like, mess up any part of this, just because I feel like it's important for me to get this right when I say it. So here we go. What happens after we die? We're remembered for both our actions and lack thereof, the things we said, or our lack of speaking, the best and worst things we did, with very little in between. We're judged by those on Earth, as well as the greater powers beyond this plane of existence. Above all else, we're free from the shackles of our skin, free from the fear and pain of reality, but our souls will either live in joy from the fulfilling life we lived, or suffer in silence from the regret of mistakes we made during our lives, or from the opportunities that we threw away. But at that point, it'll be too late, and all that will be left of us is the memories held in the minds of those who we loved, and loved us in return, as well as the ones that didn't love us, and the ones we only knew in passing. That's why I make the most of every moment, and live every day like it's my last, because it could be. Now that was pretty deep and philosophical, so let's go ahead and read the second part of their question where they says, but if you want to answer it, that would be cool. There you go, you got my my answer. And he said, my actual question, what's your favorite movie? I suggest you watch Hobo with a Shotgun. It's based off a fake trailer and it's on Hulu. I've never watched Hobo with a Shotgun, but I do have access to a Hulu account, so, you know, why not? I'll check it out. But if I had to pick a favorite movie off the top of my head, that would be really hard. I honestly could not pick a favorite movie because it really depends on the mood, right? Like, sometimes I'm in for something a bit more serious and grounded, like 8 Mile. Sometimes I want a superhero movie like Spider-Man. Really, any of the Spider-Man movies, whether we're talking Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield, Tom Holland. I love all the Spider-Men. Though I will say that I've watched the Tobey Maguire ones the most, just because, like, man, I grew up on those, right? Batman 1989 is also one of my most watched superhero movies of all time. Hands down, one of my favorite Batman and just superhero, just movies, period. I love that movie. But then I'm also into mob stuff, like, you know, The Godfather. Sometimes I want a comedy like Click. Well, it is a comedy until the end. Then it always makes me cry. And then, as we were talking about earlier, I'm a huge Star Wars fanatic, so I could take really any of those movies, so it's really hard for me to answer this. Oh man, then my head just opened up the can of worms of DreamWorks and, like, Pixar movies, because I love stuff like WALL-E and Toy Story, but then you got stuff like Kung Fu Panda. you know what, just for simplicity's sake, I think as a kid, the movie I watched the most was Kung Fu Panda, so I won't give you, like, an all-time favorite, because that's too hard for me to pick, but I think as a kid, the movie I watched the most was probably Kung Fu Panda, so I'll just say that. Kung Fu Panda. But anyways, that's all the questions that I got. I'm sorry if this, I don't even know how long this video was, but, you know, every time that I do a Q&A, I like to go really in-depth with my thoughts. I don't like to brush over stuff. I just, like, if there's something that I feel like I want to say, or I need to say, this is my time to just talk and talk and talk, no matter how long or short it ends up being, so hope you guys enjoyed. Again, if you want to be featured in the next one, either just keep your eyes posted on the community tab or join the Discord, because I always post up in both those places anytime that I do one of these. But anyway, as always, massive shout out thank you to all the Patreons and remember sticking it all in the low baller tier, and a bigger shout out thank you all in the mid baller tier, but last game to animated the big shout out on the G tier, run events on the cheese code. Thank you guys so much. You guys are literal legends. I love you. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.